Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. Mom and I are really grateful that you can join us for another week, and we're very excited today. We're welcoming back Alex Urbina. He was on with us on episode 212, where we talked about the energy body connection. So if you haven't had a chance to check that one out, you'll want to go back and check that one out. And then after you listen to this one, because it's going to be a super amazing podcast. So welcome back, Alex. We're excited to have you on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. I think the last time we were on a call together, we were just kind of in that zone, right, in that frequency. And I think I said something to you like, we could do this all day, all week. When you get on conversations, I think with people you resonate with, it seems effortless, flawless, and it just kind of, it's organic. And I love having conversations like that. So thank you for having me back.
You're most welcome. We love having you.
Yes, and I agree with you. There is something to having an organic conversation and just seeing where it goes and where it takes you. And I truly believe that, the divine source really does step in and say, okay, this is the path that you're going to go down today and what we're going to talk about. So can you tell us a little bit about what's happened with you since the last time we talked in February?
Yeah, so I'm still continuing to learn, grow, and remember more about my shamanic journey that I reclaimed in this lifetime, specifically with energy alchemy and transmuting energies in the energy bodies of people that have gotten a little bit down the road of having more dense, darker, stubborn frequencies that they either created on their own or have attracted to themselves that are causing issues in the physical body, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, disease, sickness, illness, you name it. So I'm just excited every day. I'm learning more and more. I think because what I'm realizing is that the earth is expanding and we're expanding along with it. And so the way that we have been healing and causing healing yesterday, we're not doing it no longer like that today. So healing is evolving, healers are evolving, and the ways that we're using specific tools are advancing. I feel like I'm getting upgrades every day because I'm able to access certain things and information that I didn't have yesterday. I'm learning from every new client that comes in, and it feels like you said, divinely guided. And even this conversation today, I think there's a specific intention for it. And I've just learned how to get out of the way and stop trying to figure it out and just, be in the present moment and talk about it and share and be open and honest. That's my motto. And that's where I create the magic from.
You bet. It's always about the truth of how you feel about it. That's where the magic comes from. And, I feel the same way. Things are just coming to me and I think, how come it's coming so easy? And then you second guess yourself sometimes and going, okay, was that was I supposed to say? Well, yeah, spirit said that, so that's what you're doing. So it's really interesting. Yes, we are definitely ascending to another level of
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like right now, I'm getting these downloads from my spirit team, and they're helping me fine tune the way that I am using my protocol to transmute energies from people. They're also helping me right now identify how important it is to focus on some of the DNA and the genes that a lot of us, if not most of us, have carried over from ancestral lineage or even past life situations. And so I've been doing a lot of work, not only on myself and my family, but all of the ongoing members that I have that I clear monthly and weekly, and then all the new people that reach out. So I'm on this constant, continuous, rigorous commitment to figure out how to end suffering for people. And that's just the ultimate goal. And so I think because that's my intention, my spirit team just keeps sending me new stuff. All right, here you go. You got to learn this and you got to know about this. And so it's really exciting. It's so fun. It doesn't feel like a job anymore. It just feels like I'm because every morning I get up excited to figure out what am I going to learn today? What new discovery, what new road am I going to go past? And spirit doesn't, seems to never disappoint me because I'm always coming up with new exciting things, new ways to help support people in their healing.
And I think that's amazing because I've been getting a lot of more downloads at night when I'm sleeping and dreaming. And because I've dream journaled forever, I remember my dreams and I remember the messages that are coming through. And I find it interesting because then in the daytime, I feel like I'm being pushed towards different things. So either, a podcast that you're listening to, or it's something that just piques your interest. And it's like gathering all this information to be able to utilize whatever is the best to help somebody along in their healing path.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that when you're connected to your higher self and you start really trusting that connection and that frequency, you start to remember and realize that my higher self has already the direction, and they're already 100 steps ahead of me. They already know where I'm going, and so they're just sending me the messages, and I just have to be in tune with them, and into using my intuition, tune into those, and kind of be guided in faith and trust. But also, I have to learn how to shut the thinking mind down from trying to figure things out, because my thinking mind doesn't need to figure it out, because it's probably not wired that way to figure things out. It's more about figuring out how things have happened, not how things are going to happen. When I learn how to make that switch, then I'm able to observe and notice certain trends and certain things, but it frees me up from the psychological stress and worry about needing it to go a specific way. And it just allows me to get into the flow and go where flow is taking me, because I trust that my higher self is in the flow saying, hey, just jump in and I'm going to take you where ultimately we have decided that this is what you wanted in this lifetime. So once I trust that, it just becomes easier for me.
Yeah. Do you think that we sometimes as humans, we put up those blocks for ourselves because I don't know if afraid is the right word, but becomes a block when our thinking self really gets put into that. It's almost like we get that nervousness or that afraidness to move on to the next level that we need to be going.
Absolutely, because we have been conditioned to think with our thinking mind since we were born. And then by choosing to erase or block the memory of who we truly are as a spiritual being and having access to truth, it just makes sense, right? If imagine if you were this awesome, magnificent energy of unconditional love and truth, and you chose to forget all of that so you can have the human journey of experiencing relativity, and you don't have no awareness of that when you're 2 years old, 5 years old, 8 years old. But as you get a little bit further on down the journey and you hear other versions of ourselves sharing what our spiritual truth is, we start slowly remembering that. And so it's a journey of transitioning from letting go of the thinking mind, the fear-based mind, and learning how to trust the conscious spiritual version of ourselves, which is our higher self, that's guiding us. It's been guiding us. It's always been guiding us since the day we were born.
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah,
it is. I think when you start opening up to it a little bit more and, really tuning into it, because I think that's a lot of it for a lot of us is we're running around day to day and we're so busy and doing the things that we need to do that we're not hearing the divine come through and give us these nudges and tell us where we are supposed to be going. And we just have so much resistance is the word that I'm really getting. And I think that's a lot of people are having some resistance around them about just opening up to their higher selves. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, well, resistance is one, because either, in the programming that we have in our thinking mind, it doesn't make sense. And it's never made sense for the last 10 years, 15 years, 30 years. So it's really about trusting a whole new process. It's like being a computer with a specific chip, and that chip is limited, but it's been working for you for 30 years, not realizing that the default chip is connected straight to source that has infinite wisdom and infinite power and endless, ability to store and download. So it's a matter of slowly letting go of the older chip that's outdated and surrendering that so that you can be the supercomputer that you've always been. It's like letting go of the shallow end of the pool so that you can trust that, oh, I do know how to swim. How did I know that? You've always known how to swim. You just forgot, right?
Absolutely. So what are some ways that you would suggest people to do that then, to let go of some of that resistance, to, bring in the new chip as opposed to the old one?
So because I'm an energy alchemist and have been going down this journey, I think a certain way, so I'll share it anyways. What I'm realizing is that majority of us human beings aren't necessarily directly connected to our higher self. We're connected to either spirit guides or angels that are guiding us ultimately down a journey to raise our vibrational frequency high enough to be able to connect to our higher self. And then if you're not connected to your guides that are actually guiding you in a positive direction towards your higher self, you may have faltered into another category where you're being guided by misguided spirit guides. So no matter where you fall on that spectrum, the ultimate goal is to get connected to your higher self. Once you're connected to your higher self, there's a whole, from my experience, there's a whole nother world that opens up and a flow, and you're just picking up momentum. But for me as an energy alchemist, what I'm realizing is majority of the people that come to me, 98% of them all have lower frequencies that they've either created from their negative thoughts, their negative beliefs, their traumas, and they've also attracted lower vibrational frequencies. So their house is very dirty. Their energy body, we'll call it the house. It's very dirty and needs a deep cleaning. And when you clear all that out, then you optimize the energy body so that the energy body now allows the universal energy or the Christ consciousness to flow through you, amplify your vibrational frequency. Then your life force gets high enough for you to be able to connect to your higher self. Once that's done, then you start picking up momentum. So for me as an energy alchemist, I always am thinking about clearing your energy, clearing your traumas, clearing all of that stuff, making the amends, loving yourself, forgiving yourself, doing all the work with courage and rigorous commitment to raise that vibrational frequency. Once you do that, then you start kind of moving up the ladder, eventually staying connected or reconnecting to your higher self, and then you're in the flow. When you're in that flow state, then now there's a whole, for me, from my experience, now I have to figure out how to stay in the flow state. Because what I've realized is by clearing a lot of other light workers, I've realized that a lot of light workers have gotten themselves to a higher frequency and they connected to their higher self. And then they either made certain choices that disconnected them, and without realizing they're disconnected, they still think they're connected to their higher self, and they're not. And so it's a matter of what I realized through watching that process and being a part of that process is I told myself, man, I always have to be pre-qualifying myself. So it's like when you get to a certain level, you always have to be being and doing those things to stay at that high frequency. The minute you make a choice that is lower vibration, whether it's to lie or to cheat someone out or to take advantage of someone or do something that's selfish, you lower your frequency. And when that happens, if you keep doing that, going down that road or that timeline, then you disconnect from your higher self. So to me, it's an always constant qualification. I'm constantly qualifying myself every day to stay connected at that level. And for me, it's because I want to stay in this state so that I can keep helping more people. That's really what my mission is to end suffering and to help partner with people so I can help them clear their energy body so that their physical body can heal. In order to do that, there's certain things that I need to maintain with my choices in my personal life to help me stay in that frequency.
Do you think that some people attract negative energies?
1,000%. The way negative energies, from my understanding, works is when you have a low frequency, those frequencies are just sitting there, waiting to attract themselves to you. And this is how I know that, because as an energy alchemist, one of my gifts is to be able to transfer lower frequencies or darker frequencies, whether you call them negative entities or demons or poltergeists or whatever. My job is to transfer them over into heaven or the great beyond, or the spirit world, or whatever you refer to it as, or the light. My job is to transfer them into the light. So in essence, I'm also considered an exorcist. So I can do exorcisms and I cross them over. And what I'm realizing is that a lot of the darker frequencies, once they're done playing their games, right, playing in the dark side for 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, eventually they get bored. And so what they'll do is they'll find somebody who has a lower frequency, and they'll attach themselves to that person, because they know that person is about to get healed, or they're going to go to a healer that healer can now cross them over. So it's weird. It feels like those darker entities, let's call it a demon, right? The demon frequency, when it's done playing its game and having its fun on the dark side, it goes, okay, I'm done. I'm going to attach myself to this woman because she has so many dark attachments and she has a desire to heal herself. I'm going to attach myself to her because I know she'll go to somebody that's going to heal her and cross all of us over into the light. Does that answer your question, or
it does? It does.
Yeah.
Because I find with some people, like if you have a lot of negative energy coming from some people, and it's a constant negative energy coming from them. Okay. My question too was, will that attach to you because it's always coming? And so then you always have to fight that off, that frequency that they're sending to you. I don't know how to explain
Like
it.
you as the healer?
Yeah, like if I'm the healer, okay, and I'm used to healing people and that type of thing, but you have all these negative people talking about things about you. Can you push that away so that your frequencies come back to you, so you're level again? Do you know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah. So early on in this process of being a healer, or the so-called healer, or the facilitator, energy alchemist, I told my spirit guides and then my higher self, only send me the people that I'm able to help and support, where they don't, I don't get overwhelmed, or I don't take on too much.
Right.
And ever since I said that, I've always gotten the right people with just the right amount of darkness that I can handle, where none of it, gets attached to me. That doesn't mean I haven't had those attachments. And the earlier on, I did have them because I wasn't aware of it, because I didn't know that I can ask. So when I asked my higher self, hey, only send me the people that are always going to level me up, then I always attracted the people that had the lower frequencies that were just below mine. And by staying in that constant flow, then I kept raising my frequencies, and then I'm able to attract the next level of person that needed help. So in other words, it was always like this.
Okay.
Right. I never was here and then had somebody with so much darkness that it just bogged me down. But I'm glad you asked this question, because it helps me now explain what I'm realizing, and that might help other healers see that description and see the way that I'm painting that picture, so that it clicks for them that you have to really be careful not to take on too much when you're not ready to take on, and that you can ask your spirit guides or your spirit team or your higher self, hey, only send me the ones that are going to keep me in balance, so I can keep helping people and keep growing and elevating and raising my vibrational frequency. So that way it's in sync with each other, because there are a lot of light workers out there that get really excited about the activations that they got, or the great awakening, spiritual awakening that they got, that they're like, oh my God, I want to be a Reiki healer. I want to be a this, I want to be a that. And they go out there, and a lot of times I'll tell them, hey, slow it down, be careful, because if you haven't healed your own traumas, and if you haven't addressed your stuff, it can come back and bite you. And occasionally I'll get those light workers that will circle back around for my help or support. And they'll be like, yeah, you're right. I did get excited. And to me, it's just like a little kid, right? That that the dad or the mom comes in and tells them, hey, slow it down. And they don't listen because they're so excited about that. This is part of the process, right? It's part of learning.
Right, right.
Yeah, I think too when we get a new tool in our kit to be able to help and heal people, I think we do get excited, right? Because
1000%.
oh, we can go out and heal the world. This is so
1000%.
exciting. And so I love what you say because yeah, I think you're right. We need to step back and just say, okay, let's practice with it a little bit before we take that out and, show the world this new gift that we have. And
Yeah.
I love how you talk about being in the flow too. So do you have a practice that you do to help yourself stay in the flow?
Yeah, the practice is just living with integrity. I've been practicing it for the last 30 years, just always making the highest choice, always choosing from love, from fairness, always doing the right thing, gratitude. It's all the practices that you can read on the internet. You type in how to raise your vibrational frequency, and it's all the love frequency, kindness, authenticity. It's all those things. So for me, I got introduced to a concept in my early 20s by one of my mentors. It was called the be, do, have principle. And it's a practice of mastery. And it's the way it goes is if you focus more on who you're being rather than what you do, you can have everything. But a lot of us, when we're young, egoically, we're taught in this world to focus on the doing. If you do more, better, different, then you'll have these things. And then from having these things, then you'll be happy, you'll be successful, you'll be powerful, all those things. So there's the be, do, have principle, which is the principle of mastery. And then you have the principle of the do, have, be, which is what most human beings are operating from because they're focusing more on doing. This year, I got to do more. This year, I got to do it better. And this year, I got to do it different. Well, that doing causes the having. Now I have all the money. I have the great house. I have the marriage. I have the success. And the having is now dependent on what you did. So the having is dependent on the doing. And then from the having, now I get to be happy. I get to be successful. I get to be fulfilled. Now the being is dependent on the having. So the being's dependent on the having's dependent on the doing. It's a codependent model.
Right.
And the be, do, have principle is if you focus more on who you're being all the time, you don't have to do anything specific and you can have it all. So I've been practicing the art of being, mastering different ways of being loving, being secure, being powerful, being authentic, being at peace. So if I focus more on all those different ways of being, then I already have the experience of all the things everyone's trying to chase. So I don't need to do anything specific. It frees me up to just do what I want to do because I enjoy it. It just frees me up to have whatever I want to have because I'm creating the doing and the having out of my beingness. This is a very deep, advanced level of understanding, but I think people need to understand this distinction because if it clicks for you and you resonate with it, it makes sense that I focus more on who I'm being. Then I don't have to be worrying about what I need to do or what I need to have or what I want to have. So for example, this conversation today, I don't have a specific intention on what I need to say or what we're going to do on the call. There's no worry about what we're going to do, what topics I need to talk about. I just came on with the commitment of being loving, being open, being present, being committed to having a dialogue with you guys. And the rest of it just runs its course. It's effortless.
Yeah, that's the truth. It is. It just flows because it needs to be heard, right?
I mean, I don't I'm just being in the present moment, grateful to have this conversation with you guys. And it just feels organic. It feels like it feels light. It feels free. It feels exciting to be in this conversation with you guys because I'm not focused on what I need to do, what I need to say, where is this going to go. I'm not in my head. I'm in the present moment, just being with you guys.
Yeah, that's the same with us. We're just here talking to you.
Yeah.
But the conversation has come so easily and focusing on the things that people need to hear. with all this information we're sharing. That's
Yeah.
what, yeah.
And I think when you come and you live and be, like you were saying, like that totally resonated for me, because I truly believe when you just live an authentic life and you're just true to who you are, the people that are meant to be in your life, in your tribe, that are supposed to surround you and support you and raise you up, are going to be there. And it opens you up so much more to, you have so much more because there's so much to be grateful for, because you're just being who you are. So you don't get stuck in these, I got to create all this chaos to have all this drama. I got to, do these things and potentially lie and cheat people. I'm not saying everybody does that, but I just feel the more authentic we can be in showing up as ourselves, that is just such a wonderful blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. Authenticity is a very powerful frequency. It just has an effortless way about it. It's so like non-resistance. There's no resistance there. It's like animals. They're not trying to do anything specific, and they're not trying to have anything specific. They're just being them. And if you look at an animal, they're just chilling, and they're just enjoying the present moment, because they don't have that thinking mind that needs to try to figure out what to do to what to have. That the do have be principle is not even, it's not even a figment of their imagination. They're just simply being. Same way with a dog. A dog is just being its loving self. It's being authentic. It's being its own frequency. And when you can remember that and practice that, and the reason why I say practice is because we've been practicing how to not be since we were born. We've been conditioned to do more, to do it better, to do it differently. And it starts with how we were raised, right? Our parents, probably start with our parents, because they were trained to be like that, or to do their life. Hey, Dad, look at the grade I got. Well, you can do better, son, right? Or hey, I hit a home run. Well, if you do it this way, maybe you could hit more home runs. It's just always been ingrained in us to do more, better, and different, which is focus on the doingness. And we're not human doers, we're human beings. And very few people teach us when we're young to focus on the personal power of accessing any which way of being that we want, and practice it. If you were raised when you were little with parents that just had you practice being happy, you wouldn't have to go to school. You wouldn't have to learn anything, because you don't have to learn anything to do anything specific. You would just be happy. And from the frequency of being happy, you'll attract all the things you need to learn. You'll attract all the scenarios that are going to teach you that school can't teach you. And I don't know how else to put it, but other than that, when you focus more on who you're being, there's some peace and some grounding and some joy, a lot of joy, happiness, because you're in that flow state, like I said earlier.
And I find too, when you show up as yourself instead of pretending to be somebody else, and striving to do, I think it's good to learn, definitely be open to learn. I'm definitely was born a seeker and will always be a seeker, but I find when you just show up authentically as yourself, you can shift the energies in a room just by showing up. It's like, oh, she's here, it's lighter, you can walk into a super chaotic room a lot of times, and just by being who you are, shift those energies a little bit, which I find really fascinating.
Absolutely, because your authentic frequency is so powerful that when it walks into a room, it's almost like a transmuter. So you're converting and transmuting some of the other frequencies of worry and judgment of all the people in the room. You're converting and transmuting those. So it's just a natural thing that happens when you bring in that higher frequency into a room. However, the way that you said about people just being themselves, it reminds me that unconscious people believe that they are being themselves. So it's very tricky, because when you have an unconscious person who's been conditioned to manipulate or lie or get what they want, they're like, I am being myself, and I'm not getting the things that other people are getting that I want or that I prefer. So when you say be yourself, it's very tricky, because some people are like, I am being myself. Like, who am I then? If I think I'm being myself, it's the way that I've conditioned myself to be. So if I'm a liar, a manipulator, or I take shortcuts, they are being themselves, but it's not their true self. Their true self is through, you discover your true self through the process of self-awareness and checking in with yourself, right? That was how I started my process. It was self-awareness. At age 23, I got introduced to a very powerful transformational training, and I had a very powerful self-awareness awakening. And in that moment, it was so profound, because I got an opportunity to see this very arrogant, self-righteous, Aries, fire energy that wanted to win all the time and was in judgment and very defensive. And I got to see that egoic side of me, and I broke down. Actually, I broke down crying in that training room, because I got to see the version of me that I had become through all the conditioning,
right,
the fear-based conditioning. And when I saw that, I broke down crying, and in that moment, I remember thinking to myself, I don't like that guy or that version of myself. And in that weekend, I actually connected to my heart, and I allowed myself to be vulnerable. And that's, I think, where I had that very conscious awakening. And in that moment, in that 2-day, 3-day weekend, I realized from that self-awareness, I want to be, if I can choose who to be, if I have the power to do that, I want to be a loving, caring, committed husband, father, authentic, a leader, son. And so then I just started deciding that this is the version of myself that I want to be. And then I chose those inner qualities that inspired me, and then I practiced being those. So I shifted the conditioned version of myself that I had just realized and saw in that one moment, right? That one weekend moment, and then decided that I didn't want to be that version of myself. So I basically created a new timeline for myself from a conscious awareness, and then moving on this conscious self-awareness journey. I call it the hero's journey. It's a hero's journey when you have a conscious awakening and realize that you want to reinvent yourself with higher principles.
Mm-hmm. Right. I wonder if it's like, when you were talking there, I was thinking it would be really good if a lot of people, or everybody really, because I think we do need to check in with ourselves and keep ourselves grounded, especially as we are, because I agree with you. I think there is people that start off on a good path and then grow so big that they forget what their real true mission was at heart. But I think it would be really interesting for a lot of people to journal or do some kind of exercise with themselves where they really are kind of outside looking at themselves, of how you act and how you behave and what your ideals are. Do you have anything about that you do?
Well, what you're describing to me sounds like accountability. So I have people that I've set up that I trust their frequencies, and whether they're my mentors or the people in my life, that I ask them to hold me accountable to the things that I've declared. So if I want to start working more on being more patient, then I ask my kids, hey, you guys are going to help me regulate my ability to be more patient. And you have permission to tell me when you experience me as being impatient, so you can hold me accountable to that. So whether it's writing it down on paper or in a journal or telling somebody, it's more about holding yourself accountable to the things that you've declared, the things that you've committed to, so that you have something to measure yourself by, or your results. Because the best way to measure yourself is look at your results. If you really say that you're this loving, caring, compassionate person, and that's important to you, go around to every person in your inner circle and ask them to rate you. Ask them to give you a score on how loving, how patient, how authentic, how vulnerable, how kind you are. And then your results will tell you how you're showing up to them. So I think to me, it's more about holding yourself accountable. If you can do that and you have the courage to do that and you're willing to go through that process, you'll get that feedback. And a little bit of time, you keep making those adjustments until one day you just become that version of yourself. It's just like breathing, but you cannot evolve. You cannot raise your vibrational frequency if in your head you're telling yourself you're doing certain things, but it's not manifesting in the results or the experience of other people that get to hold you accountable. Like if you're not accountable to anybody, you could be living in the illusion that you're doing some amazing things and you're evolving, but yet you're not getting, the universe isn't mirroring that back to you.
Right. Right.
That makes a lot of sense to me. And my brain's just like going whizzing, thinking about just different situations, right? Where you're just somewhere and you believing yourself to be something, and somebody close to you will say, well, you're not always that way. And it's like, oh, I'm not? Oh, okay. I thought I was, right? So I love that about the accountability and finding, because I truly believe we have our tribe that helps us grow and evolve and become who we are supposed to be, right? And I think every day, if we, like you said, can be ourselves, I think we evolve the way that we are supposed to.
Yeah. I'm not even sure there's a supposed to, even though I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, fair.
I'm realizing more and more that some of us chose to be arrogant in this whole lifetime. Some of us chose to be stubborn this whole lifetime. Some of us chose to be con artists and manipulators and or serial killers or whatever you call it. That's what they chose to experience in this one lifetime that we're all experiencing in a specific time frame. So I think ultimately the goal for all of us is to evolve. So I think we're supposed to be evolving, but not in one lifetime. I think it's taking multiple lifetimes for all of us. We just happen to be in this one lifetime, maybe comparative. We're a little further on down the road of evolving than some people. I won't say most people because it's relevant, but we're supposed to be having the experiences that we chose to have, and we're supposed to be learning from them such that we're evolving. I think that's where the supposed to's are, even though, we chose to come here to have experiences. Yeah. My job, what I'm realizing is to not judge people and their what they chose. So if you chose to, come here and manipulate the world or manipulate people or to take advantage of people, I'm not going to judge you. And if it's working for you, okay. But maybe next lifetime, after you do your life review, you get to look at that and go, wow, I got to experience all that. And now the next lifetime, I want to step up my game. And so I'm going to choose a different version. I'm going to choose to be born to a different family that are going to teach me these certain things and so on and so on. So I believe that in every cycle of lifetime, we're evolving because the choices we're making and the scenarios and the agreements that we're setting up are setting us up to really learn from them and evolve from them, expand, evolve. But I think a lot of us, including myself, sometimes I have to remind myself, we're not going to get it all done in this lifetime. So be patient. Even though 100 years in a lifetime seems like a long time, apparently in the spirit world, it's like a blink of an eye. It's like a second. So, and it's hard to fathom with the human brain, right? Because we think we're getting all this work done, and it's really just like an inhale and an exhale compared to the grand scheme of the overall universe and what we're all up to.
I definitely believe that. And I do think we have choices. So when you were talking about manipulators and things like that, and then just judging people, and I'm just using that one as the example, but so if somebody in your life is a manipulator, or you are working with somebody that you're trying to heal that is that way, and being non-judgmental, is there any way to help them shift how they're being? Or is that some kind of healing, or is that just on their own to heal that and do that with their life review?
I think a lot of times when I get those people that have those specific things that need course corrections in them, by me pointing it out that the price they're paying for making those choices is part of the healing. So a lot of times when I do an energy scan on somebody and we do our first Zoom call, me just going over the information and explaining them the consequences they're paying because they made these certain choices, and with those choices brings a lower frequency, and then that frequency gets stuck in your energy body, and now that is there, it's causing your disease or it's causing your whatever ailments.
Right.
Just by having that conversation, people are like, what? Like, no one has ever explained that to me. So just that awareness there is a healing modality. And so I'm helping people heal before I actually do any of the transmutations, before I do any of the clearing. Just that 1 hour Zoom call where I'm explaining to them what I found, how it's relates to them, how they're causing it, how they're creating it. And then at the end of the day, after we move forward and I transmute that energy for them, then they get to decide whether they're going to stop playing that game or not, let that racket go or not, stop, doing making those choices or not. It's like, you're running and you don't wear knee pads and you scrape and fall, and you scrape your knee. The person, cleans it up, throws a Band-Aid on it, and they're like, put some knee pads on. You're like, okay. And you don't, you keep running, you keep doing the same thing, you fall, you're just going to keep scraping that knee. You're going to have to keep going to get cleared or healed. But if you're not making the adjustments, you're not learning from it. And then if you're not learning from it, you're not making the course corrections. That's what we're all doing here, is deciding whether we want to learn from the things that we're suffering from. And if we do, then we can cause a shift in our reality. We end up creating the healing that we're desiring. We end up creating the peace and the balance that we're trying to offset.
So did you scan us?
Say that again?
Did you scan us to see our energies when we were going to be talking to you? Did you?
No. So when I do a scan, it's a full energy scan. Now when I scan, I can do like a preliminary. Sometimes I will I'll do, like, if I'm going to do a meeting with someone, or if I'm going to even do a business deal, I'll scan, call in their higher self. And then I ask their higher self, tell me the integrity of this person. And they'll give me their integrity. Tell me, so I can ask specific questions to help narrow down an idea of their vibrational frequency. So before I even do a deal, a lot of times I get the scoop on people. Because if I have the option to choose, why would I choose to be in business with somebody or any type of do an event where we're teaming up or partnering up with anyone that has low integrity? So I do some preliminary scans on people, but for the most part, if I'm going to help somebody, I do full scans, and it's about 80 different questions. And let's say it's broken up evenly, like 40 are energetically, and then 40 of them are broken up into physically. Right. Like earlier, I was talking about the gene mutations and the DNA. There's a lot of stuff that physically is going on, and there's stuff that is energetically. So I do a full energy scan on people when people come to me for healings.
Wow.
Yeah. And so how do people find you if they do want a healing from you? So
the starting point, usually I tell people, is my website. When you go to my website, it has my frequency in it. It has, you'll read the information there and decide if you resonate with my frequency and my intentions and you trust me. And then as you read that, whether you spend an hour or a minute, and then at the end, at the far right side of the website is contact. And then you can either choose to contact me, send me a message, or you can just book a clearing. You can either book an energy scan or a full clearing. And that's the starting point. Then I reach out to you. We have a conversation. I get your permission to scan you. I'll scan you. And then we set up a Zoom call where I go over everything. And usually in that hour, a lot is happening. It can be very overwhelming on the first call, especially if people aren't really energetically or spiritually evolved. Some of the words and the terms that I use, it can either overwhelm you, go over your head, or scare you. So it just depends. But for the most part, I'm always attracting the perfect person, because there's already agreements made up with our spirit guides. So 99% of the time, people that come to me and reach out to me is because their spirit guide and my spirit guide have set up the agreement, and they show up, whether they walk in through the door of my healing center, or it's a text message, or I bump into them at dinner and they're like, "Oh, I saw you on TikTok. I want to reach out to you. How do I start?" Well, go to my website. So I always send them to my website, because my website is kind of like, it's either weeding you out or it's getting you excited to step up onto the platform to get some work done. It's like, it's like vetting. My website is to vet you, to see where you are and see how committed you are. Because if you're committed, you'll move forward to the next stage or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. So what is your website?
It's alexurbina.com. ALEXURB as in boy, INA.com.
And are you on any other social media platforms, or you alluded to TikTok? So are you on TikTok?
I am. I'm not a fan of all the social media, but I know that it's relative in today's world as we're expanding to get out there. And if you ask me what my handles are, I have no idea. Just if you type in Alex Urbina, I'm sure the algorithm will find me. Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I just recently got on TikTok.
Okay. Are you on YouTube as well?
Yes, I am on YouTube as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, this has been such a pleasure as always talking to you, and just gave so much for us to think about, and I think our followers to think about, as far as our conscious choices. And I have to say that something that is a message that has been coming in from my higher self is really about choices that we make in life. And so I really find that's a message I'm giving to a lot of people. It's like, we have choices. We have that free will as human beings to make these choices. So we have the choice to evolve or not. We can choose. So if you had a final thought to leave with everybody, what would it be?
Well, on that topic, my final thought would be, yes, our personal power is through our choices. However, you have to be open to the possibility that you're either unconscious to a certain level or you're conscious to a certain level. So if you're unconscious at a certain level, the choices you're making might not necessarily be the results that you would get from somebody who's making choices consciously. So when I told you the story about that transformational training where I had my conscious awakening, I didn't know I was asleep. I didn't know I was unconscious to whatever level I was at. You don't know you're unconscious until you have a conscious awakening. You just think you're conscious. You go, what are they talking about conscious? What do you mean by that? Because I'll have cousins, right, or family members or friends that are very low conscious level. And they either don't understand me, they don't get me, or they think I'm crazy or whatever. But it's usually because their conscious level is just at a lower level. It's like being in the third grade and, someone else is at the college level and they're trying to have a discussion with you, but there's certain distinction you don't understand. And it's not your fault. You're not bad and wrong. It's just that's just the grade you're at in school. You can't make yourself be in the 12th grade when you're in the third grade. Right. But what you can do is you can realize, oh, I'm in the third grade. I want to learn everything I can in the third grade with the awareness that I'm in the third grade so I can get to the fourth grade quicker. And then learn everything in the fourth grade as quick as I can to get to the fifth grade. So that's a conscious awakening. But if you're in the third grade and you're the big bad bully taking everyone's lunch and that's low level consciousness. And you can live your whole life in the third grade for 50, 60, 80 years and never realize that there's higher levels of consciousness. Yeah. And so the choices you make in the third grade are only going to get you the results in the third grade. You're only going to take someone's lunch money. How much money can you make from stealing people's lunch money? Not very much. But people in the 7th or 8th grade are realizing, from my choices in the 7th or 8th grade, I can make certain choices that can make me thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now in today's world, with the way these young people are making millions of dollars, it's because we're expanding. But it doesn't mean that you're conscious. You can still be lower level conscious, making millions of dollars, but you're not expanding yourself. You're not creating peace, joy, happiness, contentment, fulfillment. And it's not until you have that conscious awakening and realize those things.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, because I think a lot of people, when you're spiritual and you talk about consciousness and unconsciousness, it's different than if this is not your train of thought, because I think a lot of people really do just associate, well, I'm awake, so clearly I'm conscious, right? And there's just so much more to it. So we could talk to you for hours. We'd love to have you back on another time. And
maybe alive sometime too.
Oh yeah, or alive sometime. That
Alive
would be
would be
wonderful.
fun.
So thank you so much for joining us on here and sharing your wisdom with us and all of our followers.
Yes, so appreciate it very much.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much again for having me.
Yes, and everybody else, we will see you the next time.